Guys, what is up? Jeff here for One Fish, Two Fish. Today we are doing a video that we've been waiting to do for a little while, but they have been a little tricky to get in, so we haven't been able to. But we do finally have some. We actually got one that a customer dropped off. Today we are going to do a video on axolotls. A lot of you guys are going to know what these guys are. Some of you are not going to. We're going to give you guys a bit of a breakdown on the very simple care that these guys need. It's really not... They're a very easy animal to take care of, although there is a few things that people do miss that does kind of hurt their health, does hurt their happiness. We're going to show you one that we've actually got dropped off that we can show you just a couple of issues on. It is about a year old, we were told, and just one thing is the size. We're going to show you guys a feeding of it, we're going to show you what we feed, and we're going to make Bailey talk to us today, who you guys have not met. Bailey is one of our head of the fish room. Doesn't love doing YouTube videos, but we told her she had to do one today because she knows 10 times more about axolotls than I do. So there you go. So we're going to go back, we're going to take a look, we'll grab Bailey along the way. This is not Bailey. This is Bailey back here, smiling in anger because her boss is making her do something she doesn't want to do. And she actually doesn't have the bird with her, which is, oh, does she have the bird?
No, he's on his
No,
page.
she doesn't have the bird. Okay, she's gonna, you don't have to get the bird. It's, yeah, she has to get the bird. You guys will remember Nemo. Nemo is the bird that I bought, that I paid for, that I pay for his food, I paid for his house, I paid for all his toys, and he could care less that I'm even a person. Very pretty bird. So, Bailey, you are going to walk us through some axolotl talk. So, this is what we're going to show you guys today.
That's our leucistic one.
Leucistic? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Right here,
and then we've got a couple of different kinds in stock right now. So she tells me this is a neon wild type. So this is one of the ones that will actually glow, correct?
Yep, under black light.
So if you put a black light over this guy, it will look like it eats toxic waste.
Yes.
So Bailey, I'll let you give us a 10-second intro. Just anything about them, what we're feeding them, the care level, blah, blah, blah.
So this is our in-house axolotl setup. We keep them at a temperature between 16 and 18 degrees. They like colder water. We do that with these water bottles here that are usually filled with ice, but they have since thawed out a little bit. They're on a diet of red wigglers right now, but they'll be on regular night crawlers when they get a little older.
So that is one of the big things that we always tell people when they're buying them, when people tell us they have them, when they're talking about them. One of the big things we find that people feed these guys is bloodworms. Bloodworms, bloodworms, bloodworms.
Those aren't doing anything really for them.
Bloodworms are a snack. Bloodworms are a weekend treat. I always compare bloodworms to like fast food. You know, they're delicious going down, but they're really not doing... They're really of no benefit for you. This is Bailey completely ignoring us and loving her bird. But yeah, so that's anybody that is, and we hear it all the time, all mine will eat are bloodworms. It's just very much not true. One of the things that she had mentioned, the red wigglers, and actually I think she has, do we have some of these out that we can, I think Jacob actually got us some so we could. So we'll actually do a feeding and we'll show you guys, while she's gone to get them, we'll show you guys one eating. The one on the left that we showed you, that was one that was actually dropped off to us a couple days ago. And the one on the right has been with us for a couple of weeks. We're actually in the process of getting all the permits to be able to sell them right now, so we're not actually selling them. But you can tell the one on the right when you look at them close. He's much fatter. He's one of the really easy things you can tell. The gills around the neck, is that what they called?
Yeah.
the gills around the neck. If you look at this one, and I'm trying to get a good, you can see how fat they are, how fluffy they are. They look like they've been all mascaraed up compared to these ones, which are not terrible, but very much not the same thing. So that's one of the surefire things you can look at when buying an axolotl. If the gills don't look good, there's probably something stressing out that animal. So she's got a little worm here, and the little dirty on it doesn't matter anything.
No, it just comes right off.
So that is what an axolotl should be when you give it a worm.
He'll eat that whole thing.
And he'll just, does he chew it? Does he
He
swallow
swallows it.
How long does it take him to eat it?
A minute or two. He devours whole worms now. We started on like half ones, but
And what was the size when we got him?
he was a little bit less chunky, if you will.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, look, you can see him chomping it down.
they can actually open their mouth a few times larger than their head. So they can ingest a lot of things. That's why you're not supposed to keep gravel or small rocks in there.
Okay. Yeah, like he destroyed that. So that would be one of the things we would certainly recommend, guys, when looking to get yourself an axolotl. Make sure you have the ability to get some type of worms. Red wigglers are what we're doing now, correct?
Yeah.
And then they'll get, when they get bigger, they'll go to
Night
crawlers. And most of your local stores either will sell them or should have access to them. I know all we do is aquatics, fish here, and even us, we have access to them from a couple of our suppliers. So even if you don't see them, certainly ask. And at what size can they start eating the red wigglers? From
babies.
From right away?
When they're super, super tiny, like firstborn, they're only going to eat like live blackworms. But once they get a couple inches, they'll start eating red wigglers cut up into pieces.
And what is the lifespan of these guys?
10 to 15 years, kept well. The main thing is making sure your tank's completely cycled, because cold water takes a relatively longer time to cycle even with additives.
And you'll see that this is Bailey's doing. Just letting you know that a normal tank that will cycle in a month, a freshwater, cold water tank does take a little longer. And then she's also got sort of a little to-do sheet. So there's the temperature that we had said. Between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius, 60 to 64 Fahrenheit. I would say that is the biggest downfall that people do with these. Bailey, you would agree, is the temperature, the ability to keep the water cold?
Yeah, because if it fluctuates, you can risk crashing your cycle, and then it's really hard to get that back on, especially when you have fish in there.
And
amphibians.
And just like a fish tank, when a tank is cycling, it is obviously very hard on the fish. Even if they are levels that the fish, the axolotl, the whatever, can take, when you are swapping them from very, very low to very, very high, back to very, very low, a couple times a week, that is going to be very hard on anything sort of living in the tank. So the couple of easy things to do, and for right now where we live, so we are actually in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, you actually need to get permits to be able to keep these now. They are relatively new, sort of to the city of Dartmouth, I guess we'll say, to the legal part of it. They're not a new animal, obviously. A couple of things that we do is we will only buy tank bred ones. They are actually an endangered species. They're from Mexico. They actually call them a Mexican water lizard. Is that what they're mud?
Mexican walking fish.
Okay. So they're actually an endangered species where they come from.
This is where I can't pronounce it.
Lake. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that either. That or. But they are very, I don't want to say they're very easy to breed, but they do breed very well in captivity. The tricky part is keeping the babies, because you do have to keep the babies separate, if I believe, at a certain point, because they will jump in here, if I'm saying any of this wrong, they will actually eat their legs from each other.
They can, especially if they're not well fed when they're younger.
they will go after feet, and
tails. But they are regenerative, so that's a really great
if they do
fact.
lose one, they can.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll grow extra toes or extra arms, but
They're not always the most active little creatures, but you can see these, they do roam around whenever they're...
even though he's small, he'll still devour quite a bit of food.
So they are, and again, you know, Bailey sort of jump in. I think they are one of the easiest pets to take care of. The setup is not really tough for them. Even the size of a tank you need for a while.
It's not unmanageable.
It's not, it's not, you don't have to spend a ton of money to do it.
Ready for the axolotl itself, that is the most difficult part, and realizing you're going to be in this for 10 to 15 years.
That they do. And the thing with it is that they're just not super active. You know, just to give you guys an idea, this is what you're going to get out of an axolotl a lot of your day. So just understand when you're buying it, this isn't going to be a 2-year pet. And the other thing to remember is that piece of information right there. These guys will get 9 inches and bigger, even in captivity. So this guy's just trying to show off for the camera.
He's wondering where his worms are.
He saw you throw a worm and he doesn't know why he didn't get a worm. With his scrawny little legs, he needs a worm.
He was fed this morning.
So, really, Bailey, the simple stuff to it for keeping them would just be patience, obviously.
Yeah.
The ability to find good food, and even...
proper care. Keeping the water cool is the main thing, which you can get a chiller for, which makes it much easier.
Yeah. The downfall to chillers, for the most part, are the expense. They do cost. It's very tricky to find a small chiller for this. I know there's a couple of different options. There's lots of stuff on YouTube on kind of self-made stuff that people do to keep them cold. But anytime I have seen them not looking good, it has always been... It's the first thing I've always gone to has been the temperature, and you always find out that they're kept at 75, 76, 77, 78.
Or they're in a pH that's way too high or low for them, which actually makes a big difference as well.
Yeah.
It can be a big difference in their development and proper health and stuff.
So there you go, guys. Again, not a full out sort of how-to on them, but a couple of very simple. They are a very cool pet. They are super easy to take care of, but make sure, like everything you do some research for them, especially in stores that will not give you some no's. We are notorious for it. We kind of, to a fault, we get in trouble for not selling stuff when people say, look, I have the money, I want to buy it, and we just won't send the animal out because it's not going to do well. So for axolotls, basically in this store, if you are trying to buy one, you do have to go through Bailey. If you tell her that you just set up a tank, if you're buying a tank today, don't expect to go home with the axolotl because she just won't sell it to you. She just won't sell it to anybody. But that is the thing with them. If you do it right, it does take some patience. You do have to have the ability to keep the water cool, and you do have some access to some food. Now, we also sell pellets that I don't know how much of the pellets we're using, but I know lots of people that will only feed the pellets. Still a much better food than the bloodworms for actually giving the animal something kind of good in their diet. But the live wigglers are certainly the best, and they're not super expensive if you have access to them. But there you go, guys. I'm not going to try to pronounce him. This guy hasn't stopped the whole time. He's just trying to show off. He's looking for his food. And our glow-in-the-dark looks like he ate toxic waste when he has a black light on him. Super, super, super cool animal with the black light over them. And they're actually bred that way. It's not something that's injected or anything like that. They actually come whenever they're bred. They actually have the gene. Not all of them, some of them. They usually will say, ours you don't actually see. You can see that it actually says not for sale on them right now. But it will actually say, so ours just says neon. A lot of them will say something with the words glow gene in them. And then when they have the glow gene, if you put a black light up to them, they'll actually show up. And they are super cool. They literally look like they've been eating toxic waste their whole life. Super cool animal. So there you go, guys. Just like everything, a little research, a little patience, and you can get yourself a real cool animal. See you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe.